Hello, my art friends. Cindy Kromholtz again. I mentioned before that I wanted to do some real simplistic type follow-along classes on YouTube since we can't be together for art. And I thought I'd film one today. I hope it helps you out with the stress of what's going on. If you have any questions, let me know. If you haven't subscribed, it'd be great if you'd subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up, and love comments. You know, tell me where you're from and what you love to do with art, and I don't know if it lets you show pictures. If it does, that'd be fun too. Anyway, I have this thing. I teach classes in my home, and we have this Altered Book of the Month Club. I found a whole bunch of these cool linen covered books. They're all different, and they're each a 10-year era in U.S. history, some world history too. So all I've done is, well, here's what some things look like, by the way, just so you have a little idea. Here's one I've done a lot of things in. So you can see that's a St. Patty's Day I did. I've just done a whole lot of things. Not everything, but you know, a lot of things. Just fun to play in, and you know, if it doesn't work out so well, it doesn't matter because it's just a book. Anyway, that gives you some ideas. Those are the types of things. So today, all I've done is I covered the page with a little white paint. I'm trying to do this in a way where you might, or most of you might have either the same products I do, or, you know, like decoupage, white paint, black paint. These are Kids Crayola super, let's see, they're called super tip markers. They have a real big tip, but you could use any markers. We're going to use bubble wrap and this fun little thing that's a little texture tool, and a couple other things. We're going to use this little bit of material, and we're just going to make a very simple thing that I think most of you could do. Now, don't worry about this if you think for some reason that you don't like how yours came out or whatever, because there's a lot of things you can do. So I'm just going to simply start by drawing what, would be sort of a half face, so I don't have to deal with her eyes. I'm probably going to have a little mouth, and maybe kind of a little nose thing, but that's about it. And then quite a simple neck and shoulder thing. And I'm going to cover this whole area in like a giant bouquet of shamrocks. Now down here, we're going to get to, you know, her body. I'm just going to kind of loosely draw. I'm not real good at this, but I'm just going to kind of loosely draw a body so I have a height sort of thing to. So I'm going to think her skirt's going to come about right there. And then maybe she's going to have a couple of little layers of, maybe 3 little layers of skirt. And then I'm just going to really draw a very simplistic leg. Now, the other one I did like this, I'll show it to you. It's a wreath. It's a Christy Tomlinson is who came up with this idea, and I just put my spin on it. So the boots are here. Well, that's pretty easy to do. I'm not sure for this because, I don't know, I'm kind of just going to draw her with sort of tennis shoes maybe. Just a very, very loose thing. Doesn't really matter very much. probably going to end up coloring it in like she has, oh, maybe she has leggings or something like that on. And this whole area, like I said, is going to just be a whole bunch of shamrocks. So what I'm going to try, I suppose I should have ironed this, but I'm going to try that trick, you know, where when we were kids, we just fold the paper back and forth, kind of like when you're making snowflakes. I'm hoping this way I can cut a whole bunch of hearts out at once, at least of this particular size. And I'm not really sure how it's going to work out, but I'm just going to try it. And if it doesn't work out, we'll move on to something else that we can cut out. Could always paint some paper green, or oh, you could even look in magazines and find some green grass or something. I mean, I don't know. There's lots of things you could do to make your shamrocks green. I don't know that all of you would have paint. You can use house paint, by the way, you know, like what you paint your house with. So if you had some of that was green, you could use that too. So I kind of just cut this down to a piece that's easy to work with, and we'll just start with this, and if I don't like the shape of it, we'll just keep trimming it up till we have something I like. And you're going to do the same sort of thing. So yeah, that's pretty good, I think. Well, let's look at them a little bit here. So some of them I'm going to turn right side up, and some I'm going to turn the wrong way. And they're just going to be, we're just going to decoupage these down. They're going to be scattered all over the place. And we'll just keep filling in as we need. So same thing. I'm going to fold this over again. Now, I don't know if you know this, but you can take hearts and cut them in half, and it makes sort of a 3-leaf clover. So when you cut the heart in half, it kind of makes the shape of a shamrock. You can kind of get the idea here. So you end up with 3 instead of 2 like a regular heart. So that comes out really cute. So let's see, I cut some of those out, and let's see here. Need a few more of those. So we kind of have to just piece these together now and see where we end up. So let's see here. Oops, just a second. Sorry. To get my glasses. Can't see anything without them, of course. All right. A little bit of decoupage. I'm just gonna put a bunch down here, and it might be a little harder because of the material, and it's a little wrinkly. I just had it wadded up in my sewing basket. So we'll kind of see how this comes out. I don't know how much you'll need for sure, I guess. So I'm just going to start. Some of them I have turned right side up, and some I have turned so that the back side of the material is showing, just to give us a little variation of color. So we can make some little, so we need another one for there because of, got to have 3, right? So there you can see the difference. That's the right side, and this is the back side of the material. So that sort of makes a little shamrocky looking thing. Remember, this is just, it's not real, of course. We don't even have well, maybe we do have shamrocks, I guess. I don't know for sure. I guess we do. Never thought about it too much. So this one we'll have going this way, and that gives us a little different variations of color there. and we'll just keep working around this and see how it comes out. Sort of keep building it on top of each other. I'm sure we'll have some holes we got to fill in with maybe a little paint or something. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see, this one is turning this way. So is this one. These are both backwards, the wrong side of the fabric. So let's put one up that's the right side of the fabric right here. Oops, maybe I'll pull that over a little bit. I hope you can see this. I know it's a little bit far away and these are a little small in a way compared to other things I do sometimes. Hope it shows up all right. Always feel free to ask me a question if you have a question too. I certainly don't mind that. All right, here's another one we'll put in that's the right side up. And that also is the right side up. And then this one is the wrong side up. Maybe we'll have that on top of that one. If you use material instead of paper, you need a little more decoupage because it will soak in a little bit. So don't worry about that if that happens to you. That is normal. Let's see, I gotta cut another one in half. So I hope you kind of get the idea here that we're just making little shamrocks as we go around, and it's just for fun. No big deal. No matter what happens, no big deal. So it's not too bad, but it seems a little unbalanced to me. I think I'll put another heart over here. Just sort of imagine she's holding a giant bouquet of shamrocks in her arms. Just going to stick this here because this looks a little funny. Got a little bit, kind of got a hole in the middle there, so we'll just fill that one right in. Let's see here. Let's just use these all up. Maybe I'll do this. I'll just pull that up a little bit. Yeah, that came out all right. And let's see here. I'll have one more going out this way. And here's one more tiny part of a heart, so I'll just put that in there. All right. So let's see what else to do right now. I'm going to paint her face in. I'm going to kind of use, like I said, I have these Crayola. They're called Super Tips, but you could use any felt pen. And I'm just going to, this is kind of a flesh colored one, so I'm just going to go in real lightly here and fill this in a little. Let's see if this works out a little. Sometimes these will sort of act like a watercolor if you use a little bit of water in the brush. And you can spread them a little bit. Yeah, that worked out pretty well. let's see, I better wipe this off. I forgot. If I should dry this first, maybe I'll dry that real quick because you don't want decoupage on the edge of your felt tip markers. It won't be good for them. So I think I'll just dry this very quickly. It's going to be really cute once we get the Sharpie all around the outside of it, I think. It takes a lot longer for decoupage to dry when you're using material. I probably won't even be able to do that until tomorrow, would be my guess. Let's see, I think I'll give her some little pinky lips. See if I can get that to work so you can see it a little better. I don't know. It is kind of far away. Yeah, that works. The other thing you can do is you can just take the tip of your brush and just do that. But it's a funny thing. It uses your ink up pretty darn quickly. And then you have to kind of let them sit for a while so that it'll come back to the bottom of the tip. So, anyway, that works pretty well, and she kind of looks like a fair-skinned girl with some rosy cheeks. Here's another thing. If you're doing a magazine or a book or anything, you want to put a piece of this is just wax paper. You want to put something like that underneath there. It's pretty important. I'm going to make her tights green because since it's a St. Patrick's Day thing. Same thing, you don't have to be very careful, but if you want to move this around a little bit, you do have to be pretty quick. And you can see how much I got off of there. Just wetting what was there from the one leg over to the other leg. That's pretty good to get that much color. So anyway, it's kind of fun. You can mix the colors, and if you let them dry, you can go back on top of them and you get a little different look. And when you're doing your legs, just an easy way to think of the legs is to think of the ankle area is going to be narrower and the thigh area is going to be a little bit bigger. So you just sort of make not a straight line, but just a slightly angled outline on each side. It's not really what legs look like, but you know, it gives you a pretty good idea. Works out pretty well. Okay, here's something that happened when I picked up the page. Her cheek kind of ran, so I gotta get that back in spot, and then I'm gonna dry it, and I can add some more to it if I want to. So that got a little bit messed up. The markers are fun though. They're pretty forgiving, and you might even be able to just take a wet wipe and wipe it off if you don't like it. But she's gonna have big cheeks because, you know, you're really only seeing her lips and a little bit of her nose and her cheeks, and her eyes are right above that. We're gonna draw some hair in too. Let's see, let's give this girl, maybe she's really Irish, and we're gonna give her some red and orange hair. I'm really just gonna do this kind of thing. Well, very simplistically done. I'm gonna add some orange into that. See how that kind of mixes. And then I'm going to use my brush again to get a little bit closer to her face and kind of make it look like her hair is coming down here. I guess she has big hair. So that's pretty good. I'll let that dry and I can go back in a little bit if I need to. Clean it up a little bit. I think I'll make her skirt, this bottom part of her skirt, I'm gonna make it purple. Same thing, I'm gonna get my brush and a little water and I'm just gonna move it around a little bit. Now that's okay when that happens, but if you really don't like it, you can dry it or you can just blot it off. It's fine. Don't worry too much. You know, if you do watercolor paints at all, you know that that happens, and watercolor is not the same as acrylic. It's more fluid and let's see. It will do this pooling type thing. I can do it with acrylic paint too if I water it way down. But, you know, I'm not a watercolorist at all, but I'm just learning. And I do love the way it looks when it's sort of not all the same density of color. And I think that's kind of a fun part of it. And the same thing, I'm having the same problem you can see here where the green is bleeding in. So I better just dry that and then I can take care of that better. Like I said, I'm just learning watercolor a little bit. And when you've got acrylic paint under it and decoupage, it's almost like painting on plastic. I could probably just wipe the whole thing off almost if I wanted to. Maybe I actually could wipe the whole thing off. So this time I dried my brush out a little bit more so it wouldn't have this maybe such a running into the green, because I don't really want this area to be that green. I want it to be purple. All right, I'm just gonna leave that, it's fine. Let's see, what other colors should we use? Maybe I'll use a little bit of a lime green for this next little layer of skirt here. I think I'll just paint that straight in maybe. Just because it's pretty easy. Nothing about this is very difficult. Right there I've got a little, I'll do a little bit of, kind of get it to go into the edge of the material there. And let's see, what other color? I guess orange. I guess I'll do a little lighter orange. There's really only a really tiny spot right there, and this little spot here that would be her dress. So not too much. And again, I think I'll use my brush just a little to get it to go right up to the material. Okay. Now I'm going to take a little bit more white paint. So I'm just putting a little bit of white paint on here. Clean up the shoes a little bit. Didn't realize my phone stopped. So anyway, I did a little bit up here. It says America St. Patrick's Day 2020. And I'm going to do this little a little thing where you how to change your font a little bit, you know. So all you do is you just write it out normal, and then you basically add in wherever there's a like an A or an S, you add these little lines in, and we're going to fill those in. And then wherever there's a straight line, you just sort of go back and add an extra line to that. And it's really pretty simple to do, and it does look cool. And it's just another fun thing you can do with your lettering. You know, I like to use Sharpies for this stuff, but you could certainly use paint or pencils or anything like that. I'm also going to beef up the basic letter a little bit with the bigger Sharpie. I almost always start small and then go back and add in the bigger one. I feel more confident that way, I guess. And when you're doing this, one thing you can do that helps to make it look a little different is to sort of exaggerate some things. It's just a little bit of practice. Really not very difficult and pretty fun. I thought I was not going to be able to learn it, but I learned it actually pretty quickly doing it this way. Kind of breaks down the steps, I guess, for me. So you can see how that comes out a little bit. Now my book already had this, it said America, and then it said something else on it. So it was already outlined in white. That's probably pretty hard to see. I just went back in with a red and filled it in a little bit, and just thought I'd use it since it kind of still showing. The paint didn't totally cover it. You can paint your page so it's totally white, or you can kind of leave it and use the background a little bit, which I usually like to do, but not always. I went around the shamrocks, heart shamrock things, and I think they came out pretty well. I'm good with them. So one thing I want to do, there's this little thing in art where they say you should always use have some black and white. So maybe this is how we'll play with these little, and let's see, maybe I'll add some yellow in too, because I kind of want some yellow in the background a little more. So you can use your fingers to do this, or you could use a sponge brush. Normally I use my fingers, but I'm having to wash my hands so much right now that I'm sort of trying to not use my hands as much, because my skin gets has a little difficulty if I do that all the time. But all you do is you just spread it on the top, almost like if you were rubber stamping. You could actually use ink also on this. Wouldn't be any problem. So once in a while I'm going to go off the page. You never want to have a square, so you want to kind of always do something to save that. No squares or rectangles exactly. And odd numbers around the page. The other thing is, when you have I'll just use my card. When you have like her skirt going across here, I don't want to paint over that. So I'm just gonna, I should have done it first maybe, huh? But I didn't. So that kind of protects that. Maybe I'll do it on this side a little bit too. You want to have odd numbers, or, try. You don't have to worry about it, but that's what you try for, is odd numbers of. So I'm looking at, right now I would say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I need one more spot of this yellow. And I think I'm going to put it, so many choices. I think I'm going to put it up in this corner. And this little texture tool is actually a pot holder. You can envision the size of a pot holder. I think I got it at Bed Bath Beyond, but that was years ago, and I've seen them all over the place now. So the next thing I'm going to use is bubble wrap. We all have bubble wrap, I think. If not, I don't know what to say, but I don't know. Everyone I know has some bubble wrap. There's all different sizes of bubble wrap. I've used all different sizes for this technique. I think, sorry, getting sidetracked, sorry about that. I've used all different sizes, and I think they all look cute. And so I wouldn't worry if you have a certain size or not. Now this is the same sort of thing. Imagine you were stamping, and you're just putting it on the top, and then you just lay it down a little bit. You know, when you're putting it on your bubble wrap, you can do an uneven, so you don't have a square. So that's nice too, because, you know, then you get, it's less work for you. You already have a unsquare thing. But you still have to be a little careful so that you don't end up with squares, because squares just aren't pleasing unless you're going for a really geometrical type thing, but that's not what we're going for here. So let's see, how many of these little blobby things do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I have 5. I'm going to add 2 more because that's still uneven, right? You could do 1, 3, 5, 7, you know, whatever you want. But I feel like it needs a little down here and a little bit over here. So there we go. And you can just throw these in a little, oh, you know, any kind of plastic thing that's big enough to hold them. Just throw them in the water, and they wash up really easy. I don't even usually worry about the bubble wrap, but since it's black, once in a while I do. Now I'm also going to take this black, and I'm going to go back, well, let's see, maybe I'll just touch up a couple spots here that I don't think got done quite as well as I'd like or something. Oh, I don't know. I would like another little dot here, so I'm just going to draw one in. That's another thing you can do. These areas that didn't fill in real well, you know, just go back and fill them in a little bit. Don't have to be perfect either, like I always say. No worries about that. Maybe this needs another one there, and maybe that one needs a little. I don't know if you can hear that noise in the background. If you can, it's my vacuum. So sorry if that sounds weird or anything. I don't know. It'll be interesting, I guess. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to do with that. I like her shoes. I pretty much like that. The only other thing I'm going to do, and I don't know how this will look. I've never really done this using a colored paint, but I'm going to try it. So I'm just going to, I'll hold this piece of paper up here, which might make it so you can't see, and I'm sorry if that's the case, but it'll just be for a second, and then you'll see what I'm doing. I'm just making some splashes on here, and I didn't want it to go all over the table. So you water your paint way down, and then you just flick your brush a little bit, or use your finger to flick it a little bit. I just wanted to add a little more brightness, a little more, you know, sunshine. One thing I'll say is, at least where we live, it's been sunny all week, which has really been nice, because last week we still had some snowy weather, and I guess we might have some more, but I don't know. I'm so tired of winter weather, as I've said, so I'm not sure, but I need sun everywhere. Let me get that all over me. All right, well, that is pretty much it for this. I hope you enjoyed it. I think I can pick it up and show it to you a little bit better. Get some of the stuff out of the way, maybe, huh? So you probably have these things or something like this at home. Let me check that that's all in frame. I'll probably go back and play with this a little bit, like, you know, redefine this little leg a little more. And I do it real scratchy. I don't, it doesn't bother me at all. If you need to have it really, a very straight line. You know, you can just practice a little and you'll get that. You could also do things like this, and I think I'll do it. So I'm just going to make a little scallop along the bottom of her skirt, just for fun. Maybe it's a little piece of lace there. I kind of like that. Maybe on this one, maybe I'll do a little funny line like this. Just a little something. I don't know. I pretty much like the way her face is okay. I mean, this is just these are some little earrings I drew in, so we'll just kind of play with those a little. This is a very loose thing, like I said before. Well, anyway, there you have it. Thanks so much. Hope you like it. Let me know.